positive control that true flight was finally achieved. It is precisely the accomplishment of controlled manned flight under power that justifiably gave the rights claim to the title. Other titles and popular claims to fame may be less certain, and we shall take an objective look into this. Throughout the book, I've endeavored to distill aerodynamic concepts into a digestible form for those readers without aviation or engineering backgrounds, and I've included the historical aspects of man's quest to fly past the speed of sound for those without historical inclinations. My hope is that there is a story here for all of us who share a fascination with aviation. As for the demon, it existed and still does. It lives out there just beyond the thin air, elusive and tempting, drawing us further and deeper into his domain. A world of unknowns and lofty, dangerous pursuits such as high-altitude flight, global circumnavigation, and yes, the so-called sound barrier. The latter term is a romantic label for flight beyond the speed of sound, and as such it is attractive to movie makers or publishers. It has a ring to it, an air of satisfying finality, nearly an absolute, which can only be overcome through extreme courage and skill. There is truth in this, yet the term is utterly artificial for aviators, engineers, or historians, at least in the intellectual sense. No such barrier actually existed. Or did it? From another viewpoint, the barrier and its demon lived in men's imaginations, and would continue to do so until both man and machine evolved sufficiently to dispel the myth. Indeed, there was a physical barrier, but it was of man's own making through his misunderstanding of transonic aerodynamics and the propulsion systems required to push him faster. Once these were achieved, the actual event of muscling through Mach 1 was anticlimactic, an inevitable moment in time. But it is here, in the shaping of the men and the struggle to develop the science, wherein lies the real story. The story of those who chased the demon in any of his forms far out into the unknown, only to see his shape fade elusively into another undiscovered realm of his world. The demon beckoned men to follow, and still does today, to continue chasing him toward whatever else is out there. Why were men striving to fly past the speed of sound, past a known calculated point that, for many, had become a barrier to further flight? How did such a time in history arise that would permit such an endeavor? What caused the very fertile ground of the 1930s and 1940s to be so fertile, and how did the global stage come to be the stage upon which this drama was set? Simply phrased, why then? And equally important, how did the men who chased the demon become the men they were? What events shaped their inherent talents and abilities to the point where the demon of speed and others could be successfully pursued? Lots of questions. To answer them, we must look well beyond the very short 4-minute rocket burst that officially took man beyond the speed of sound during October 1947 into what made that flight, and very likely others before it, possible. We must look at war and peace, politics, science, and technology to examine factors that molded the world we inherited and that still impact our lives today. As with other seminal developments we take for granted today, the origins and motivations have often become obscured, idealized, or, worse still, forgotten altogether. At several points in the history of flight and its subsequent quests, credit has not been given to those it is due, but rather to those with the best publicity. I certainly do not impugn those who have gone before. They were brave men who purposely took extraordinary risks, albeit for reasons as different as the pilots themselves. This work will simply lay out various facts, unburnished by time and without the glitter of legend, to at least encourage readers to pause for thought. To reflect that just because we were taught a thing, it does not necessarily mean it is true, and perhaps to remind ourselves that much of what is accepted as historical fact is in fact neither history nor fact. Such a luxury is only possible because others have gone before us and done the dirty work, so to speak, men who offered their reputations, suffered the slings and arrows of their peers.